Thank you all for being here today. There are moments in life when everything inside of us tells us to stop, when the path ahead seems too steep, when the burden feels too heavy, and when doubt whispers that we aren't strong enough. It's in those moments when pain grips us and fear presses in that we are faced with a choice. We can give in or we can push through. Champions are not defined by how they perform when things are easy. They are defined by how they respond when things are hard, when their bodies ache, when failure knocks them down, and when the crowd goes silent. They keep going, not because they don't feel the pain, but because they've learned that pain is part of the process. Growth lives on the other side of it. Victory demands it. Every person who's ever achieved something great has met pain along the way. They've faced setbacks, they've heard no, they've fallen short. But they didn't let that be the end of the story. They got up. They put one foot in front of the other. They moved forward. Because deep down, they knew something powerful. Pain is temporary, but pride in what you've overcome lasts forever. The journey toward excellence isn't supposed to be comfortable. It tests your patience, your discipline, your heart. But that test is what separates those who simply dream from those who deliver. Champions are made not in the spotlight, but in the shadows when no one is watching, when it's just you and the challenge in front of you. So the next time you feel like quitting, remember, you are stronger than your struggle. Push through the pain. You don't know what's waiting for you on the other side, but if you keep going, if you refuse to stop, you'll find out just how far you can go. Because champions, no matter how tired, how bruised, how discouraged, they keep going, and so can you. There's a common misconception that strength is about how much you can lift, how loud you speak, or how confident you appear when everything is going well. But real strength, the kind that builds champions, isn't shown in moments of ease. It reveals itself when things fall apart, when the plan fails, when you're exhausted, discouraged, or standing alone. That's when strength becomes more than a word. That's when it becomes a decision. Because it's easy to look strong when you're not being tested. It's easy to stay motivated when you're winning, when the support is loud, when the finish line is in sight. But what happens when none of that is true? When you're tired, the odds are stacked against you, and the goal seems out of reach. That's the moment when inner strength has a chance to speak. It's in those exact situations, when quitting would be justified, when stepping back would be understandable, that champions are separated from everyone else. Strength is about showing up even when it hurts. It's about holding your ground when everything in you says to back down. It's not about perfection or constant success. It's about persistence through imperfection. Strength is refusing to let the hardship define you. It's trusting that the pain you feel now is shaping a version of you that can handle even more tomorrow. Champions don't wait for the perfect conditions to prove what they're made of. They do it in the storm. They show it when their confidence is shaken, when their body is screaming for rest, when no one would blame them for stopping. That's when the inner fire has to burn brightest, because anyone can keep going when it's easy, but not everyone chooses to keep going when it's hard. That choice to continue to fight, to rise, is where real strength lies. And in the life of a champion, it's not a one-time choice. It's a daily one. Over and over again, in silence and in struggle, they prove that true strength is revealed not in comfort, but in the crucible of difficulty. Champions aren't immune to pain. They don't possess some superhuman ability to avoid struggle or block out fatigue. They feel it all, the burning muscles, the aching failures, the weight of disappointment. They feel fear, doubt, and pressure just like anyone else. What separates them isn't the absence of pain, but their response to it. They understand that pain is not the enemy, it's part of the journey. Instead of pulling back when it appears, they lean into it. They move forward anyway. There's a quiet courage in pushing through discomfort, in saying, "I will not stop here," even when every part of your body or mind is begging for a break. Champions develop that courage over time. They learn to recognize pain not as a signal to retreat, but as a sign that they're pushing past their limits. It's a sign that growth is happening, and that's why they keep going. Because they've been through it before. They know the sting of failure, but they also know the satisfaction of rising after falling. They've made a habit of persistence, and that habit carries them when strength alone isn't enough. There will be moments in anyone's journey when things feel unbearable, where it would be easy, maybe even logical, to quit. But champions decide in those moments that the pain is worth it. They understand that quitting lasts longer than pain. Pain fades, but the regret of giving up doesn't. So, even when their vision is blurred by exhaustion, when progress feels invisible, they keep their focus on the purpose behind the pain. It might be a dream, a goal, a promise to themselves, but it's something bigger than the discomfort of the moment. It's not that champions enjoy the pain, it's that they respect it. They recognize that pushing through it builds something lasting. Resilience, character, grit. And those qualities don't just make someone a great athlete or performer, they make them a strong person. That's why champions keep going, not because it's easy, but because they've made peace with the fact that pain is part of the price. And every time they push through, they earn something no one can take away. The deep, unshakable knowledge that they didn't give up. Pain is not just an obstacle, it's a teacher. It shapes, refines, and strengthens those who are willing to endure it. When we think about growth, we often imagine progress as something smooth and linear, something that happens quietly in the background. But the truth is, real growth often comes with discomfort. It demands effort. It tests limits, and yes, it hurts. Whether it's the physical strain of training, the mental weight of persistence, or the emotional toll of setbacks, pain accompanies any serious pursuit of greatness. Champions understand this deeply. They know that nothing worth achieving comes without sacrifice. That pain isn't there to stop them. It's there to show them they're getting stronger. It's there to signal that something is changing. Just like muscles tear and rebuild stronger, so too does character develop through hardship. The very presence of pain means that growth is in motion, and once someone sees it that way, not as punishment, but as process, it becomes easier to face. That shift in mindset is what gives champions their edge. Where others see pain as a wall, they see it as a doorway. They know that pushing through it leads to progress. Every hard day, every tough decision, every moment of doubt survived is another brick laid in the foundation of who they're becoming. It's not just about achieving a goal. It's about who they become by pursuing it relentlessly, even when it hurts. This doesn't mean they enjoy the suffering or seek it out needlessly. It means they've stopped fearing it. They've learned to embrace the temporary pain in exchange for long-term gain, because they understand a hard truth. If growth came without pain, everyone would do it. But most people turn back when it gets uncomfortable. Champions keep going. They accept the cost because they believe in the value of what they're working toward. In the end, the pain endured along the way becomes part of the story, a story not of ease, but of endurance. And when they finally cross the finish line or reach that milestone, it's not just about the reward. It's about everything they overcame to get there. That journey, that transformation, is what gives the victory its meaning. Setbacks and failures are an inevitable part of any journey worth taking. No matter how talented, how prepared, or how determined someone is, there will be moments when things don't go according to plan. The dream slips further away, the effort feels wasted, and the sting of disappointment sets in. For many, those moments become stopping points. They give in to the voice that says, maybe this isn't for me, or I've failed too many times, but champions think differently. They don't see failure as the end, They see it as feedback, as a signpost, not a dead end. They use it to adjust, to learn, and most importantly, to rise again. It's not that they never fall, they just refuse to stay down. Each time they stumble, they make a choice to get up, to try again, to believe that the setback is just part of the process, and that belief, that unshakable mind, is what defines them. It's what keeps them in the game when others walk away. They understand that success is not a straight line. It's full of detours, delays, and disappointments. But none of those moments have the power to stop them unless they choose to give up. And they don't. What many people miss is that failure is often the best teacher. It exposes weaknesses, yes, but it also reveals where growth is needed. It sharpens focus and forces a deeper level of commitment. Champions embrace that. They study their mistakes not with shame, but with purpose. They use every misstep as fuel, every rejection as a reason to improve. That relentless attitude of learning, adjusting, and pressing on is what transforms failure into progress. Resilience isn't built by avoiding failure. It's built by facing it, surviving it, and moving forward anyway. Every great success story is full of moments when the person could have quit, but didn't. They endured the frustration, they pushed through the embarrassment, and they kept showing up. Over time, those moments accumulate. They become proof, not only to others but to themselves, that they are capable of overcoming anything. So when a champion falls short, they don't see it as proof they're not good enough. They see it as part of the path. They know that real strength is shown in how they respond, not in the win, but in the comeback, and that's why they never let failure be the final word. Excellence isn't built under bright lights or in front of cheering crowds. It's not created in moments of fame or recognition. It's built quietly, consistently, in the unseen hours, the early mornings, the late nights, the days when motivation runs dry, but the work still gets done. Champions know this better than anyone. They understand that what the world sees, the medals, the titles, the breakthroughs, is just the surface. What lies beneath is an ocean of discipline, sacrifice, and relentless effort, most of which no one will ever witness. It's in solitude where true excellence is forged. When no one is watching, there's no applause to fuel you, no audience to impress. It's just you and your commitment. And in those moments, your discipline is tested. Will you still put in the effort when the only reward is knowing you did it? Will you still show up even when it's hard, when it's boring, when it feels like progress is invisible? Champions do, because they don't train or practice or prepare for approval. They do it because they've made a decision about the kind of person they want to be. This quiet consistency separates the good from the great. It's not about one brilliant performance. It's about doing the right thing over and over, day after day, even when no one is watching. It's about mastering the fundamentals, pushing through the repetitions, and being honest with yourself when shortcuts look tempting. Champions hold themselves accountable in those moments. They know that excellence isn't a switch you flip on when it's time to perform. It's a habit you build when no one's around, and this kind of work, the unseen, unglamorous kind, is what gives them their confidence. When they step into the spotlight, they know they've earned it. They know the preparation is there. They've felt the struggle, they've faced the resistance, and they've pushed through it countless times in silence. That inner trust only comes from work done in the dark. It can't be faked. So while others may be waiting for the right moment to start, or looking for external motivation, champions are already moving. Already building, already sacrificing, not for the attention, but because they know excellence demands it. And they're willing to pay the price, long before the world ever sees the result. The decision to keep going, especially when it hurts, when the odds are long, and when the outcome is uncertain, is the very thing that separates champions from the rest. It's not talent alone, it's not luck. It's not even opportunity. It's the will to continue, the refusal to quit, the daily commitment to take one more step. Champions make that decision again and again in moments of pain, in times of doubt, when no one would fault them for walking away. They choose to keep going not because it's easy, but because they know that greatness requires it. This choice isn't made once, it's made constantly. It's made on the hard days when progress feels slow or invisible. It's made in silence, in private battles no one else sees. And each time a champion chooses to continue, they grow a little stronger. Their grit deepens, their focus sharpens. They build a kind of mental toughness that doesn't come from comfort. It comes from hardship. That toughness is what sees them through when everything else fades. It becomes the foundation they stand on when the pressure is highest. That's why champions aren't defined by the times they win. They're defined by the times they almost gave up, but didn't. The times they were knocked down, but got back up. The times they faced pain, fear, or failure, and still moved forward. These are the moments that shape them. Not the easy ones, not the obvious triumphs, but the hard decisions to persist when quitting was an option. So if you find yourself standing at the edge of giving up, remember this: you're not alone. Every champion has been where you are. Every one of them has faced a moment that could have been the end, but they made a different choice. And you can too push through the pain, not because it's comfortable, but because it's necessary, because on the other side of it is strength, on the other side of it is growth, on the other side of it is the version of you that you were meant to become. Champions keep going, not because they have to, but because they've learned that the greatest victories are reserved for those who refuse to stop. So whatever you're facing, take a breath, gather your strength, and take one more step. Keep going. Your breakthrough may be closer than you think.